I don't know. I think it's presumptuous to assume that all of those houses would, in the present configuration, would have open backyards or chain link fences so that they would have visibility. Our experience is that typically people want privacy and they put up privacy fences. Use Mountain View Park as an example. The city paid for and still maintains this massive privacy fence because those folks did not want. I don't think it was so much they didn't want to see the park. It was so much that the people in the park would not be in their business. So you just don't really know all the time. You got to remember, keep this in context. This is a very small park, any way you look at it. And as I put in my memo, that the original park proposal was acceptable then, and it's still acceptable. But that's not what was brought to me. What was brought to me was the proposal. And I think that the majority of any landscape architect professionals would agree with where we're coming from with this. I think the points of security were good, but I don't think they're absolute. I mean,
So Dwight, let's leave that part of it to the council for their discussion about whether they buy into those proposals. But certainly your professional expertise is really important, so we do want to hear about that in response to Wayne's question.
okay.
One final question, but first a comment. Let's not forget that Dwight has his doctorate in park safety.
Absolutely.
So he is speaking as an expert when he refers to that. Now,
You
my
bet.
final question, however, Dwight, is about maintenance. And what's your preference, and what do you look at a difference in cost as far as maintaining two small pocket parks or one somewhat larger pocket park?
That same question was brought to us at the, I believe at P&Z. I don't see that, other than just you have to do it, move to another location. I don't see that there would be much difference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Walter?
Don't go away.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I might
Bill.
just answer Wayne's question about the park size. Altus Park is 39,294 square feet.
Thank you.
So Dwight was totally correct, almost an acre. Another passing mark. Dwight, the petition that was circulated and has been given to us tonight says that the Thompson substitution is not suitable because, number one, the Thompson alternative site is sloped, precluding playing fields. Is that correct or incorrect?
Well, I think that
I'm interested in whether or not the sloping precludes playing fields, or does the size preclude it?
size precludes it. Mr. Parks talked to me after this had come up during P&Z, and he said that he didn't mean ball fields as in formal ball fields. He meant room to be able to, throw a ball to each other, play catch.
And the sloping would preclude that.
Sloping, well, if you were going to get right on the slope going down into Alturas, using that, I suppose that would be, I don't know why anybody would, but
Spend all your time looking for the ball in the bushes.
Yeah, and but the land going southwest is relatively level. It's actually more level, I believe, than what's in the current location. Both will require some grading to make them usable to the design that we end up with.
And you have all, I think you've answered my next question, which had to do with access being to the proposed park being limited to a pony place, making it more difficult to reach, in that you see these as walking to parks as opposed to parking.
And I mean, we all
You
know
would not
that
propose taking up any land in either existing or proposed for a parking lot.
correct.
Okay.
People do still drive, though. We see that all the time. But that's not what this would be designed for, either.
Dwight, is there public parking in Alturas Park, or is it customer-based?
Yeah, I think you can park on the street side there.
Okay. Okay.
but nothing specific to the park itself.
Council, what would you like to do? Dan?
So since Tim kind of said everybody down here had to say something, I'll follow along. But
Thanks, Dwight.
I don't have any heartburn either way. But I can see I could be talked into voting either direction. But really, I lean more towards having it all in one place. I just as soon take that Alturas piece and move it to the west somehow, but we know that's not going to happen. So, because that would make everything more central and larger in the center of everything, but rather than having the 2 and potentially 3 separate pieces. So with that, I'll make a motion that we declare the intent to exchange the park as proposed by the applicant.
Okay, your motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have Dan's motion and Tim's second. Discussion? Wayne?
Kind of feel like Dan, I could go either direction. I think we'd have parks one way or the other. But I go back to 2008 when we started with Phase 1 and the major discussions that we had with the homeowners in Indian Hills, number 5. 5? I've lost count. What's the previous? Anyway, doesn't matter.
6 is 5.
There was a lot of discussion going on, and I think the thing that sways me to leaving it to where it is because of the number of homeowners in the neighborhoods that signed the petition. And I think they knew what they were signing. I don't think a bill of goods was sold to them. So if it wasn't for the weight of that, and these are the folks that are going to be using the park, supposedly, theoretically. So I'm going to vote against that motion.
Other discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Walter?
I came here tonight wondering what I didn't understand. I looked at the proposal and thought, wow, 30% more park. I've looked at it from the Altura side, and it, as I indicated earlier, I thought it had great views until, you build buildings all around it maybe, but then you've got that security thing put in place, Dr. Wegman. I just couldn't figure out why this large number of people signed petitions against moving it. And I'm still not sure that I do. The presentation made by Mr. Regan and by the Wegmans helped me a little bit, get a better feeling for it. But I'm still a little confused because I think the bigger park, a single park, is a better deal for the city. With that being said, Dwight just sat down having said it's a neighborhood park. It's not a destination park. It's a walk-to park. And I guess I've got to slide a little bit toward Wayne here that if the neighborhood wants what they've already seen created, then I'm not sure who I am to tell them that you're all wrong and you don't know what you're talking about. I guess time will tell. If I've been a developer, if I was the Thompsons, for whatever reason they put this proposal forward as they did, I would look at this as a blessing, because I'd put some big house lots up there and charge $100,000 for those suckers. I'm going to have to vote against the motion, I think. It's really a fence that I'm struggling with.
Had to build a fence somewhere, though.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I've said that I wish we could do more dealing with potholes and planning and zoning and less with national social issues. And now I've gotten my wish.
Other discussion? Okay. Dan's motion is to approve the the developer proposed exchange on that parkland.
That's correct.
Okay, is that clear? Okay, we'll start the roll call vote with you, Dan.
Aye.
No.
No.
No. Aye.
Okay, the motion fails. Would someone like to put forward another motion?
Now, then, my question is, can we just move on to the next thing, or do we have to actually move to decline the proposal?
Mr. City, Acting City Attorney, would you like to
You can move
respond?
ahead. You can certainly move ahead with the resolution for the comp plan amendment. If you follow the recommendations of planning and zoning, which it sounds like that's where the council's
Yeah,
looking,
that sounds like the
then you
direction.
can proceed. It depends how far you get, what you want to do, but yeah, you don't need to. It isn't going to fail on the fact that you're not declaring the intent to exchange the park.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Do we have to make an actual, I guess the parkland, whatever has to happen will have to happen depending on what we do anyway.
Correct. If I may.
Please, Bill, go ahead.
If the council decides to decline to do the exchange, and you don't have to formally decline it, you
Right.
just have to
We
notice your
basically
intent to
did,
exchange. But if you choose not to accept the exchange, then there is still that approximately just under 10,000 square feet of parkland dedication that needs to occur. The zoning ordinance under the city code cannot become effective until that has been satisfied. And there are probably two courses of action that could be available to the council, and certainly Gary could confirm if this is correct. The first is the council could pass it with a condition, pass the comp plan, the zoning, and approval of the plat with the condition that they provide a suitable method of meeting that dedication requirement that would come back to the council, and the council would approve and accept. The other option is you could just table it until, and ask the applicant to work with the Parks and Rec Commission to work to identify what that is before you take action on the ordinance. I think those would really be the two options that would be available to you.
Okay, anything to add, Gary?
No, the only thing I was going to add is it just depends what the council could proceed if it wanted to tonight. The ordinances that you have before you, the alternate ordinances, don't become effective. It's in the body of the ordinance that it is not effective until the parkland dedication is agreed to and accepted by the city council, but also that it would not be published until that occurs. Or you could, as Bill indicated, we discussed just tabling it until you get an entire package before you, and then you can move it ahead at that time.
Tom?
Must we reschedule a hearing in order to accommodate?
Public
Yes.
hearing is now closed, so.
Okay, but do we need to
You
do
can
again
table it.
because of state law? There was a state law piece on,
That was on the
Exchange.
exchange part.
but that was an exchange part, but there still needs to be some resolution of the almost 10,000 square feet. And so I'm trying to figure out if, to accommodate that, does there need to be another?
Well, and
It
that's.
sounds like not.
Yeah, it's not a state rule, that's our zoning ordinance that it requires that additional dedication of parkland.
Okay, I thought
This
I
was
saw
one of
something
Mike's
in
early
Mike's
slides.
slide. Yeah, I thought I saw something in Mike's slide, but I'm not hoping that we do. I'm just asking for
Now, the point-
procedural sake.
If I may, now the public hearing is closed, if your desire is to table it to give the applicant a chance to work with the Parks and Rec Commission and Dwight to try and come to some resolution, then they would come back with a recommendation. You would not reopen the public hearing. You would just look at what that recommendation was and make a decision, and could move ahead at that time with the balance.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out what's the fastest, most efficient way for the applicant to move forward on figuring out what they want to do. So, and that's what I would like to see us do, so.
Madam Mayor?